All right, we are ready to rock. So hopefully you got a chance to print this out. This is the workbook for the nutrition talk tonight. Really, really excited to get these things going. If you didn't print it out, you could download it and kind of follow along that way. But otherwise, we're going to get rocking right into this. It's 7:04. So in my opinion, that means that it is game time. So let's kick that out of the way. All right. So holiday season has arrived, right? Feels like it was pretty fast. And if you think of the holidays, what generally comes to mind? Just think about it. So hopefully friends and family, right? That's usually what comes to mind for me. Outside of that is usually food, but undoubtedly some of you probably thought about the hustle and bustle, the stress, right? There's usually late nights, especially if you have kids and you get presents ready at Christmas time, cooking food for Thanksgiving. There's, of course, just the food in general, but more specifically the treats and maybe the alcohol, right? After working on our health and wellness goals like for weeks or maybe even working on them for months, the holiday season, it really can seem like a time we get derailed. But what if I told you that this year you could actually stay on track and still enjoy everything the season has to offer? My name is Coach Joe from BFP, and today we're going to share 5 tips for navigating a healthy holiday. So at Breakaway Fitness and Performance, we believe that something as fundamental as nutrition should not be complicated, and we want you to feel confident with a realistic and sustainable plan, even through the holidays, which is why we have a habit-based approach. Now, we've recently kicked off our nutrition coaching program, and we are backed by Healthy Steps Nutrition, which is a group of dietitians who has helped over 35,000 people all around the world take control of their health. But here on this screen are some of the folks who've had incredible success with our nutrition coaching here at BFP. 8.8 pounds of body fat lost, 7.8, 8 pounds, 3%, 3.5%, 3% of body fat, gain, strength, fitness, and confidence, all good stuff. So we are really excited about that here at BFP. But on to the topic at hand. So if you've ever felt derailed or experienced weight gain during the holiday season, first of all, know that you're not alone, but there's some interesting kind of twist to this. So there's a scientific review article that found they went through a bunch of different studies, and they found that the holiday season starts around Thanksgiving for most people in terms of the food or in terms of the change in how they eat. And it ends about the second week of January. So that's important to understand as well. It ends a little later than you would think. And in this literature review, they found in studies of adults a significant weight gain of about 2.2 pounds or a kilogram that was consistently observed during this period. So you hear a lot of numbers thrown around. This was a literature review, so it took a lot of different things into account. But it was really just about 2.2 pounds. So that is significant, though, because it does add up over the years. And as we get older, that number does tend to get a little higher. But here's an interesting part. Furthermore, among individuals that had obesity and they were attempting to lose weight, they still saw an increase in their weight of about 0.3 to 0.9 kilograms, so like a pound. So even if you are trying to lose weight, so think most people, whether they're aiming to lose weight or they're not, they gain weight around Thanksgiving to the second week of January. So you're probably wondering how you can enjoy the holidays and stay on track and achieve your goals. So we're going to dive into 5 tips for navigating the holiday season in 2022. So this is where you want to get that workbook out, because we are going to start filling this out. First, you need to remember your why. And I'm going to challenge you and say that you might not truly have a why. You might not have truly designated or decided upon a why. Behind every goal, there's emotion, right? The why is an emotional tie to your goal. And we have to take time to picture how we're going to feel when we achieve that goal. It needs to be real, right? It's kind of like if you have a bad dream, you wake up, your heart's pumping, you've had anxiety, you might be sweating, right? If you've had a crazy nightmare or a dream, because we can, with our emotions and with our brain, we can force our body to feel what it could be like if we really take time to, what it would be like to achieve a goal, much like having a bad dream. So we work with nutrition clients at BFP, and most of them want to lose some weight. Some of them just want to gain muscle, gain a little bit of weight, but there's a reason why they want to lose weight. And typically they tell us they want to feel more confident in their skin. Recently, someone literally said, or they want to have more energy, want to keep up with their kids. Even those, I challenge you, it's hard to get emotionally attached. Like for me, like I want to look good for my wife. And we've had people say that recently. We've had to say, I want to look good naked for my spouse. There's no shame in that. I think we all want to do that. So why is our why important enough to be the very first tip that we're going to go over? There's an interesting study that explored the interconnections between goal setting and individual personality factors. And for 10 weeks, they had 41 people. And those 41 people received goal plans, and they were either set by some supervisors or they were chosen by the participants themselves. And the results revealed that participants with a greater understanding of why the goal was necessary for them had more chances of being successful with their target plan. So basically the ones that set those goals themselves, but understood why it was necessary for them, right? That emotional tie, they understood the why behind their goal, were more likely to be successful and actually achieve their goal. So again, workbook, this is actually where you need it. I was a little early. This is where I want you to take a moment in your workbook and want you to write down your goal and then answer why at least 3 times. We've given you space for 3 times in your workbook. So I'm going to give you an example now before you dive into it. And the example is, I want to lose 10 pounds. So why? I want to lose 10 pounds so I can fit into those old clothes in the back of my closet that I haven't worn in a long time. Why are those clothes so important? I see pictures of myself wearing them and I think they look really good. Why is wearing clothes and looking good important to you? If I lose 10 pounds and fit back into those clothes, I'll feel more comfortable and confident in my own skin. And really, I would challenge you to go even deeper than that. Like, well, how do you feel when you feel more confident? What does that do? Does it make you smile? Does it make you more willing to go to certain social events? Does it make you more willing to go shopping for more clothes? Does it make you more willing to feel like you look good naked in front of your spouse, right? Dig in. The goal is to continuously check in about why that why is so important. And this will lead you to truly understanding the strong emotional connection. And for some, it may take 3 whys. For others, it might take more. I think it takes more. But to get started, I'm going to give you about a minute to work on that right now. So everybody on here, I hope that you downloaded this. If you didn't, what it says is like, what's your biggest struggle when it comes to holidays? And then it goes into tip number 1. And your goal is, write down your goal. Why is that goal important? And then again, why is that important? And then more specifically, why is that important? So going into that 3 times, okay, I'm going to give you about another, got my timer going. I'll give you about another 30 seconds or so. I'm just going to have a sip of water over here. I apologize if you may hear my kids going crazy in the background while you're trying to think of your why. It's just that time of the night. This is how they get. My 2-year-old starts chasing around my 4-year-old. And the other way around too. There's my 4-year-old at the door. So hopefully you've got your why identified and you've gone through a couple of different layers of that. This is really important. I think it seems arbitrary to a lot of people because it's been overstated so many times, but it's so important. So take some time on that if you didn't today. Now, once you uncover and you understand that why, that emotional draw, the emotional connection, the actual emotions you'll feel when you achieve, think about writing that down somewhere or having a symbol in place so that you'll see it every day as a reminder to keep you motivated. Maybe you write it on paper, goes on the fridge, on your mirror. Maybe it is that goal, the goal outfit that I know you're going to be wearing in no time, right? I move this phone away here. So step number 2, my daughter's going to visit us for the rest of this portion of this presentation, is to stay consistent. So what does that look like? Like, it's so important to be consistent. It's the glue that ties everything together. The magic pill for long-term success is consistency. Even when you fail, just going back to being consistent. These actions lead to lasting results. And even during a season like where you're traveling, where there's treats and there's gatherings, it's important to stay consistent with your routine. And I know that's not always a fair request. And I'm not the guy that's going to ask you to go to dinner with your family and just think that 10 years down the road, you're going to think to yourself, gosh, I'm so glad I ate healthy at that dinner 10 years ago with my family before my grandmother. That was my last dinner with my grandmother, my last Christmas with her, right? But just think about your routine. Think about ways you can be successful. We're going to dive into that with the rest of these tips. But let's reflect upon a couple of questions too. So even now, before you start traveling, do you have a daily routine? How many days a week do you stay active? And do you even have a morning and an evening routine, right? Because these things matter. Routines are massively important. Hey, Noah, we're going to stop. Daddy is on a presentation live right now. You're being pretty loud, son. I apologize again. It's pretty funny, actually. So here's some pro tips when it comes to staying consistent during your holiday season. So I would show you my calendar right now if I could. So first, you want to block off time on your calendar to stay active. This is so important. Like literally for me, I have lunch and chill on my calendar every single day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11:30 with our 11:30 sessions is my time where I actually, I'm sorry for my kids. I can't do anything about it right now, but that's my time to stay active and it's my routine, but it's actually entered into my calendar and it helps hold me accountable. So as you go into the holidays, those schedules are going to get crazy. And we want to take a look at your busy holiday schedule. Let me see if I can get these kids out of here. Hey guys, hey, y'all need to head out that way, okay? Noah, out. Noah.
Isabella,
out. There's my wife. So take a look at your busy holiday schedule, right? Think about 2 to 3 days each week that you can block out time and move your body. And it doesn't have to be lifting heavy weights like we do at BFP. If you're there, if you're at a gym, you can follow Train Heroic if you're a member. But any movement, walking is like the unsung hero when it comes to this stuff. Maybe you're in a place, or at home where you can go to the gym. Great. If you're traveling without that option, just block off time to go for a walk with your loved ones. And if you can stack up some good miles there, it matters a lot. So let's block out your calendar next, right? Pick out what meals you will eat for the week and shop for the ingredients, okay? So not only will you find yourself staying on track if you plan out your meals during the week, like maybe not when you're at grandma's house for dinner, but during this holiday season, meal planning and a little bit of prepping is even more important than it is during the rest of the year almost, because of so many things that can throw us off track with parties and cookies, other things. Doesn't mean you can't have them, but we want to be able to get right back in line with our goals and our values and our why. So planning can help a lot during holiday weeks, but allow you to stay consistent with your eating, even on days like Thanksgiving. Not to mention, you've got turkey, such a great option on Thanksgiving. Lastly, stay consistent with your sleep. Okay, the holiday season brings late nights for a lot of people, and for a lot of different reasons. Could be that you're dealing with anxiety and depression because you're missing your loved ones. Could be, you're staying up late putting together toys for your kids. Could be you're prepping for a giant meal that you've got to cook and a ton of people coming over. When we're not getting enough sleep, it can lead to decreased ability to properly and efficiently digest our foods and the drinks that we bring in. And that leaves you feeling like inflamed or bloated. So not always just like the food you eat, but our ability to digest them matters, and sleep plays a large role in that. So consider that as you go into these holidays and you're going to be eating those meals with some of these foods you don't always eat. And of course, the amount of food matters too. But one of the best things you can do for your body, sorry, I just clicked something there, is being mindful about getting at least 6 hours of sleep every single night. 6 hours is not that much, right? It's not that hard to get 6 hours of sleep. Tip number 3, when we're going to 5, okay? Hang with me here. Hang with me. Plan ahead. Rocket science. I know we just talked about it. The goal without a plan is just a wish. So in a busy season, it's easy to let your health and fitness slip to the back burner. By having a plan, you're able to set yourself up for success. Plan out your meals and snacks for the week. If you're traveling, what great lean and shelf-stable proteins can you bring to stay on track? So when I travel, I love Kellogg's protein bars because they actually taste good. Yes, they might have some processed ingredients, but they're lean and I enjoy them. So they help me get some more protein in my diet. They do fill me up for a good hour or so. Be sure to schedule time to go grocery shopping, like if possible. So you'll have some great options to help you stay on track. Remember when we talked about staying consistent, right, with eating, even on days like Thanksgiving. So what do we mean by this? One of the biggest mistakes we see people make, and I do this a lot because it's kind of logical, but it can set you up for failure, is to like save up for that Thanksgiving meal. Now, yourself. I think personally that this can work for people, but it depends on your tendencies. So think like if you're skipping breakfast or lunch and snacks because you're waiting for that big feast, you're like trying to give yourself a calorie surplus or give yourself some calories to use at that meal. That can work, but a lot of times most folks, when they skip meals, they usually increase their chances of falling off track. More like, think like as you starve your body, you might enter that dinner time feeling overly hungry, especially if this isn't something you normally do. And it can lead to you eating a lot faster. And usually when that happens, we overconsume. And then like all that like amount that you didn't eat goes out the window because you just overeat it at this one meal. So instead, plan out a balanced breakfast, plan out a balanced lunch that focuses on lean protein, veggies. And like my favorite breakfast is eggs with chopped veggies and ham. That's a good one to have. If you think you're gonna have a little more carbs later at that meal, you're gonna have some of that dessert. Maybe keep it to just protein and non-starchy veggies at these meals beforehand. That's one way we can do it. But if you stay consistent with your eating routine, it'll be a lot easier to stay mindful and just stay on track and to just move on after that big meal. Remember, meals like Thanksgiving, it's just a meal like any other dinner, right? Except we've got family around and we're eating a slightly different variation of food than we would normally eat. So step 4, this is an important one, and this is an undervalued one and one that's not utilized enough. You're going to hear us talk about this a lot as we continue to push on with our nutrition coaching at Breakaway Fitness, is remember the plate method. What's the plate method? No matter where you are or what you're making for dinner, keeping the plate method in mind makes it easy to stay on track. And the plate method is filling half of your plate with non-starchy veggies. So all these things you see on here, starchier veggies will be some of this stuff you see over here, like sweet potatoes and spaghetti squash. And for some people, a quarter protein, we could go a little more than that, depending on how lean that is. And then a quarter starchy carbs with like an optional healthy fat. But most people are going to get that healthy fat in their protein, depending on what they're eating, or if they're like having a salad and they're putting a dressing on there. But just think balanced. You've got these 3 important food groups. And if you remember tips 2 and 3, you should be going into any special holiday meal fueled and mindful. And when you step up to the table or the counter to grab your food, maybe you're at a restaurant, aim to recreate this picture. It's not hard to do. And it's important. And it's the most, outside of walking, probably the most underrated tool that you have in your arsenal. So pro tips when it comes to this, eat your non-starchy veggies first. So let's eat all of this stuff first. And then we want to eat all that protein and then eat the starchier stuff at the end. And remember to slow down. Our brain is always 15 minutes behind our stomach in terms of feeling full and the hormone regulation. If you still feel hungry, just grab some more veggies. If it's a really lean protein, grab a little bit more protein, but just remember calories are probably going to be higher. The last tip number 5, let's stay mindful. We know that highly restrictive diets or mindsets are not sustainable. And it often leads to the yo-yo dieting that you hear about from everybody, or that you've probably experienced yourself, that I've experienced personally. And the reason this happens, like think about if you have kids or you remember being a kid. Do you remember when you were told you can't do something or you can't have something? Do you remember like hyper focusing on that? It's the same thing when we tell ourselves we can't have something like pie, cookies, or that blanket statement of like, I'm having 0 sugar. We'll start to think more about cravings until we finally succumb. Usually when you do, it's like you overconsume. And that's where the problem comes in. It's not that you had it, it's that you overconsumed it. So if you want a treat, then like, great, have a treat, have it, but then move on. Don't hold yourself guilty or in trouble for having that treat. It's a season of sweets and treats, right? Like instead of feeling deprived that you can't have something, then overeating later, have a little bit and move on. It's okay to enjoy a treat. It really is. If you're looking for some other great tips outside of BFP, the HSN podcast is a solid one. Episode 42 is a good one focused on how to stay on track during the holidays. Now, at this point, so we've gone through all 5 of our tips for having a healthy holiday. At this point, your handbook should be filled out, and hopefully you feel more confident navigating the holidays this year. With all of the misinformation out there, we know that this can feel overwhelming. And to start building your foundation, here are the BFP principles that have helped so many folks take control of their health, like those results that you saw earlier. Take control of their health one habit at a time. First, we need to add more whole foods into your diet. Everything you see on this slide, stuff that naturally grows in nature, if it flies, if it walks, if it swims, this is the stuff we need in our diet. It's going to leave you feeling fuller longer. It's going to be more nutrient packed than the more processed stuff. Start choosing those whole food options and less processed foods, right? Because they're usually, the processed stuff's packed with more sodium and fat and sugar. But a simple way to start this is by the plate method, like we talked about: half non-starchy veggies, a quarter protein, a quarter starchy carbs, a little bit of healthy fats if they're not already in your salad dressing or in your meat. And remember to recreate this during those holiday meal times. Load it with veggies and protein. And if you're going to have dessert, cut that starchy carb off of that plate altogether. Have that in your moderately sized dessert, right? So this HSN and BFP principle, we're going to focus on balanced meals, protein, carbs, and fats. So when we say balance, we mean, does every meal and snack you consume throughout the day contain a carb, protein, and a fat? Pairing each meal and snack with all 3 of these macros will leave you feeling fuller longer, and it's very important, okay? Protein is the most important one. That's the one that's going to leave you feeling fullest the longest because it takes the longest to break down. It also requires the most energy to break down. So please don't skimp on the protein. If you're having a very inactive day, let's focus on non-starchy carbs. If you're going to train, get those starchy carbs around your workout. We're going to touch on that in just a minute. Finally, we're going to limit the amount of added sugar you consume daily, if you can. Just because people tend to consume between like our coffee creamer, a lot of the carbohydrates with added sugars, other things with added sugars, people consume like 150 pounds of sugar per year. That's like a person. There are 46 teaspoons a day. So it's addicting, right? It causes happy chemicals to get going in your brain, which is normal. But it can feel hidden in almost every food product if you're not careful. So it's just something to be mindful of and to be aware of. So now I want to take some time to answer some frequently asked questions we get. And if you take anything from this, you're probably going to get it from these next few slides. What should I eat around my workout? So fueling around your workouts to gain muscle, to lose fat, if we want to increase our energy, or really any health and fitness goal is important. So we want to aim to have healthy carbs and protein before and after your workout. And if you think if you don't put gas in your car, you wouldn't expect it to get anywhere. Would you? You wouldn't, they don't run on E. So my favorite pre-workout, right, if I'm going to work out, if I can get a full meal, which for my schedule works out well for breakfast because I like to work out at 11:30, is like eggs, ham, and some oatmeal, or some Dave's Killer Bread, like some good whole grain stuff. So I'm actually getting some grains. If it's a bit closer to the workout and I can't get a whole meal, something like peanut butter toast or a BFP protein shake, a few pieces of cold cut meats and some fruits. So I get some carbs and protein, a little bit of fat. But my favorite post-workout meal, I love non-fat Greek yogurt with a handful of blueberries or a handful of oats. If I can just eat a balanced meal, or if I can add more protein to that normal balanced meal and have some good carbs, I will. That's very, very important. Again, BFP protein shake, a little bit of greens mixed in if you don't have the food. What about if you don't love veggies? What should you do, right? People say this all the time, and I want to challenge you. What if you just haven't found a way that you like them? You can roast them. Have you ever had roasted cauliflower? It's surprisingly good. You can slice it and cook it on the grill, and it's surprisingly good. You can also bake it with olive oil, and it crisps up. It's ridiculous. It gives you that nice crunchy rather than mushy. But you can also find tons of seasonings. You can use butter. I know that adds calories, but getting those veggies in is so important because most of us aren't getting enough of them. So think about that. Challenge yourself. Google some ways to eat some veggies that you actually, prepare them in a way that you like. The final frequently asked question we get is like, where should I start? Because we're in a day and age where there's information everywhere. Where should I start, right? And it's a great question. I want you to start with one thing at a time. This is what we do at BFP. And maybe it's something you already have in mind, or maybe it's one of the things that we've discussed today. But the best and fastest way to reach your goals is to work one-on-one with a nutrition coach, just like you came to BFP to work with us for fitness, and to build it. Because we can build an individualized plan for you. And here's the deal. There's never a perfect time to get started. Holidays, regardless, right? Like, I want you to take a little bit of time. There's always something that's going to get in the way. But think about, like, last year, how'd you feel during the holidays when you ate all that food? Like, did you feel great? Did you feel bloated? Did you feel sleepy, lethargic? So would you like to maybe not feel that way this year? Or maybe be confident enough that, like, when you do feel that way, you can still just move on and not feel guilty about it? That's what a nutrition coach can help you with. There's always something that's going to be in your way. You have to make a commitment to yourself. It's simple. It's not easy, but we are here to help you. And if you're thinking it all sounds great, but you don't know where to start, you really just need someone to help you create a plan like that's realistic, that you can work through together. Someone to hold you accountable. You'd be surprised. Like, the amount of accountability we offer in a nutrition coaching program is ridiculous. So much time involved in it. Here at BFP, we focus on a habit-based approach to create an individualized plan just for you. And we work together utilizing all the tools and resources that we have with these dietitians that we've partnered with to build your nutrition foundation and create a sustainable plan. And along with our tools and resources, like our nutrition coaching app, it's like having a nutrition coach in your back pocket. We know how important support and accountability is when it comes to our long-term goals, which is why we'll be there to help guide you and tweak the plan every step of the way. A few more success stories for you here. These look similar, but they're not the same as what we started with. 4.4 pounds of body fat, 6.1 pounds of body fat loss, 7.1 pounds of body fat loss. Like, this stuff works. You just have to give it a shot. Let somebody hold you accountable. Listen to them. Follow the plan, and we got your back. Oh, look at that. More results. How about that? We're excited to announce that we have our nutrition and coaching and accountability program, and it's here to help you. We're opening up 5 spots. We blew up in November when we launched it, and we needed to settle, make sure all of our systems were in place. So we're ready to bring on 5 more. And, here's what it looks like. So you work with a coach to create your plan, check in weekly to keep you accountable. We check in. And if you don't answer, we check in again, and discuss your progress and tweak your plan each week. We also have monthly one-on-one meetings, a big initial consultation that might take an hour and 30 minutes. And then we have habits that we work through in our nutrition coaching app. There's a ton of other stuff we do as well, but the ultimate thing is accountability and holding you accountable to what you're doing with nutrition. So if you scan the QR code on the screen right now, that's going to take you to our website. You can learn more about our nutrition coaching program. If you fill that little lead form out, we'll get you set up for an initial coaching session so we can learn more about what your goals are and how we can help you with our nutrition coaching program at BFP. So today we learned the 5 easy tips to navigate a healthy holiday. Remember to start with your why. Stay consistent, plan ahead, use the plate method, and stay mindful. Now we want to open up the floor for anybody's comments or questions. Anything. I know a lot of times this is tough to get anybody to say anything. Feel free to unmute. Just start talking. I'll try my best to regulate if we get a bunch of people at once. Right at that 30-minute mark. Nothing? Nobody's got anything? Michelle, you got anything? Hopefully I'll see you in the morning. So in closing, if anybody decides they have anything, feel free just to jump in. But I hope you took a lot from this nutrition talk, because I know a lot of folks they struggle to stay on track and to be motivated this time of the year. And really forget motivation. Like, we just need to stay on track even when we're not motivated. And when we fall off track, we need to be focused enough to get back on, not be guilty for it. With the 5 easy tips you got today, you should be able to feel pretty confident this holiday season if you take them seriously and actually put them into action. So again, thank you for joining us. And if you're looking for additional help to dive into your nutrition and to reach those short and long-term goals, be sure to schedule that initial coaching session today to get started with one of our amazing nutrition coaches. Happy holidays, and we'll see you next time. We're doing these once a month now. So I hope everybody has a great night, and we will see you soon.